Hello and welcome back to my Kerbal Space Program video series. This is a much shorter part than I was anticipating for part 3. I was actually planning to get a couple of things done in this one, but I ended up not due to some issues that I had, which I'll explain about in detail later. So what I'm doing here is I'm launching up the Rover stage, and you've probably noticed it's quite big. Its size in relation to the actual station, I hadn't actually realised at the time, and I kind of regret making it this large now, but at the same time, I'd like to see if I can roll with it, because I actually quite like the design. It's stable, it's got great big wheels, so it's fairly manoeuvrable on terrain. The two rockets that you can see attached to it there, they are the lander stage, and it has parachutes on top. So basically I just use the landers to bring it down nice and gently, get fairly near the surface, drop them, flip it so that the wheels point down and just turn on the parachutes and they just glide down gently. It's got a cockpit, so it's got room for a Kerbal on board. On the whole, I quite like it as a rover, and in the event that using it really screws up my ship on the way to Jool, I will try and replace it with a slightly more sensible design, but I do kind of like it, and I will probably like dump it on the moon or Minmus or something at the very least. So the mission objective here was just to go dock this with a spaceship, and I cut out like almost everything to do with it apart from the actual getting the rendezvous nice and close and the actual docking part, because no one wants to see me orbit and then circularize my orbit and adjust the plane and get the encounter, because we've already seen me do that in like parts 1 and 2. So literally this part of the video here is just for me to talk and explain. Now here we go, getting a nice close encounter, and as you can see, I ditched the booster stage like quite a while ago, and then just brought it in with the tiny little pseudo lander stage. Now what I should have done is just stick with that tiny little lander stage and use that throughout the entire thing, but I'm an idiot. As you'll see when I get this in nice and close and finally detach the car to go drive it in itself, it has very small amount of RCS on it. It's got like 2 tanks, but only like 4 thrusters in total, and this is just so that, say, if it needs to, like, if it really needs help, actually it occurs to me it's going to lathe, meaning the gravity there is quite strong, so they're basically going to be useless, more or less, but whatever. Basically, the RCS was mostly to use here and to slow down during trajectory. Now, it was about this point, I think, that I realised it doesn't actually have any RCS that can give it horizontal movement. I encountered a bug here, as you probably noticed. I swapped between things and the camera was left spinning like literally forever, so I just quit out to the Space Center and came back in. Now what I did here, and technically this is a lost take, because spoilers, I do eventually dock it, but I was immediately like, yes, I'm going to screenshot this and then I'll show everyone my ridiculous rover attached to this thing. Hit Shift and Tab to bring up the Steam overlay, which accelerated up the station and did all kinds of stupid shit to its orbit. Now I did this again in the second take, where I actually like docked it up properly, and I just deactivated the main booster engine, activated the one at the very end, which isn't ideal because I can't refuel it at all. This is one of the problems that I neglected to mention in the last episode. I don't actually know how to prevent fuel crossfeed, so apart from using decouplers, so I stuck a giant decoupler on the station core, which you can see right there, which blocks which means that only that engine can use that fuel tank, which is kind of okay in theory. It just means that I can't refuel it ever. Now, through some complete stroke of luck there, I managed to attach that, and let's just say that in my second attempt it was a lot more difficult, and in the end I just detached the lander and attached it and brought it on, detached it and moved it again, but it was a huge pain in the ass and I never want to like try moving that around ever again. So part 4 is going to feature just bringing up a refueling tank. I'm not going to show like the whole process. Like, if I need to do more than one, I'll just show one. and then the last thing I'll be doing is bringing up a slightly altered lander unit to deal with landing on slightly higher gravity basically, because I intend it to land on Val. I'll discuss the problem with the current lander unit in the next episode, and I'll see you there.